Welcome back to Auto. My name's Andrew Sardone. I have been a sales trainer for the past 22 years. I've been in this business for an incredibly long time, and the dealership life has basically been what I know. I've trained hundreds of thousands of sales consultants over the years, and I have learned a lot from my lessons. And today we're going to be talking about the trust leak. The trust leak is that moment when the customer just simply feels unsure. They're not angry at you. They're not upset. They're just unsure. And that unsureness starts to lead them down a path of slowing down, getting defensive, asking questions multiple times to attempt to get an answer that to us, we say, well, they're asking a lot because they're looking, they're digging. Actually, they're asking a lot of questions because the words that we're saying and how we're saying them, the cadence that we're saying, are just hitting all wrong. And these tiny little leaks have massive effects over a lot of what we do. So let's dive in. Early on in my career, I had a moment where a customer asked me a very innocent question, and you've probably been in this situation if you've been in the business more than 2 minutes. It's pretty common, and most consultants don't even recognize it. And it's when a customer asks you something simple or you're having a conversation. And in this particular piece, it was the customer simply asked me, hey, how long is the appraisal going to take? And without even thinking, just right off the cuff, maybe like 10 minutes or something. And as I looked back at them, all of a sudden I saw them just deflate. It was like the trust just ran out of the room. And it wasn't like I was trying to be vague. It was just the answer that I normally gave. But I realized that the reaction was a little bit more dramatic with this individual than the others. And then I started to pay attention to my words. And I started to notice that these vague answers that I was giving were hitting completely wrong. And it was affecting my bottom line. It was affecting my bank account. And I wasn't trying to be shady. I was just nervous and new in this business. And the guesswork that I was trying to get by with was just stabbed me in the foot because it was exactly that. It was low confidence guesswork. And we all have to do this when we are new in the business. It just happens. But those tiny little moments where the customer starts to back up and go, I don't know if we need to be working with this person. Are they the right one? All of a sudden, here comes this trust leak where now we got to patch it up. We got to figure out how to back up. We got to figure out how to rebuild confidence. Due to my lack of confidence, trust was leaking all over the table, out of their ears, down their shoulders, down their shirt. There wasn't much in there anymore. And I had to back up and almost start again. And it wasn't that I was trying to be vague. It wasn't even that I was trying to be like shady or anything. It was just nerves and the fact that I was new and I just threw an answer out there. And it doesn't really have to be that you're new. I see this happen a lot. Vague answers lead to a complete lack of confidence. And this amazing first lesson that I now call the trust leak illuminated something for me. It's the little moments that gets the customer to think, I'm not sure about this person. I'm not sure that this person can accomplish this goal. And this is why we say spend a lot of time in needs assessment. Trust is the number one thing that you need here so you can partner with the customer. To define this, a trust leak is a moment that makes the customer feel unsure. They're not angry at you at all. They're not even upset. They're just simply unsure. They're just in this limbo sort of area of, do I want to continue forward? Do I not? And this unsureness causes customers to slow down. They get defensive. They ask questions multiple times over. And it's not even that they're not hearing you or remember their question. They're just like, are they going to give me a different answer? They delay on decisions. And these tiny leaks have these huge effects, mainly if they're not loving you and they're not loving that car and they're not able to give you that information. We can't match them to the right car. In the end, we end up pressuring them to buy a car because we got to get paid and we got to make some money. And the plot twist with some of this is the fact that customer satisfaction scores industry-wide are off the charts right now. I'm not even joking. Take a look at them. Our industry is starting to right the ship, and I think that's great, but will it ever be corrected all the way in the consumer's eyes? I don't get my hopes up that high. But that does leave a wonderful thing for us, is that if the customer is still feeling that we're the worst people on the planet, and we end up flipping that around to become their best friend when they come in, all of a sudden they want to spend time with us. All of a sudden they're willing to listen to what we have to say. And get this, lo and behold, in the end, they end up buying a car from somebody that they actually enjoy, meaning that there's some referrals in the line. Now, to back up this stat about how customer satisfaction is just off the charts and how trust is still completely shattered, and this is a good thing in a way. I know it sounds terrible. We would all like to have great trust and immediately with somebody. But this does mean that in this business, if every other car sales consultant is looked at as untrustworthy, and we try to adapt to become a better person in the customer's eyes, we have a better shot at winning that deal. So here's the nerd stats to back this thing up. And a recent study shows that 76% of Americans, and the stat hasn't changed in years, do not trust the pricing from car dealerships. How could you? Just seriously, just hop online and look at almost anybody out there. Any social media where they talk about buying cars, and all of a sudden it's like, they lied to me. It's like, oh my gosh. Either A, they did, which probably isn't the case because they actually want to sell a car, or B, there's a massive misunderstanding. Either way, rabbit hole I can go down some other time. But next stat here, 86% of customers are worried about hidden fees. I would be too when I'm looking at cars, still dealerships out of the COVID era that are attempting to give me $2,500 pinstripes. What the heck? Or you just marked the car up 10 grand when I could go down the street and there's no addendum. Come on, get real. If you want to know what the problem is with your sales and you got a big addendum on the cars, let me fill you in on something. It's your addendum. Yeah, you could be selling like another probably 20, 30 cars a month if you took that stupid addendum off the car. You could be selling more cars if you actually added more value to that addendum, but made it something that customers want. All right, next one. 84% say that transparency is still missing. And this is kind of a moving target. Transparency means a slightly different thing to most people, but honesty is still there. And if honesty can't be put forward, if the time cannot be taken to learn who this person is, come presentation, come walk around, you have no idea what to show. You have no idea how to engage that customer. You have no idea how to light that customer up and make their dreams come true in that vehicle. And customers know this. So they come in with their shields up after doing a ton of research. And if you even have one trust leak, boom, all of a sudden it all falls apart. You see, this industry has an amazing thing for us. And if you're in sales, it's a gift. It's the fact that almost every single other dealership out there and consultant is looked at immediately and judged as being a terrible person. And a big part of doing this podcast is to prove that doesn't need to be the case. If we change a little bit, all of a sudden we can reap some pretty massive benefits. So back to the appraisal disaster. I said it maybe just 10 minutes or something, and I tried to catch it before it went to their ears. And then when it hit, that's when the reality struck. The customer leaned back, they crossed their arms, and it just gave me one of those looks, like I knew it, expressions, and there was nothing I could do. I thought I'd done something wrong, but nope, it wasn't. But my tone, my uncertainty, and my vague wording to hold it all. It was just this lack of confidence or lack of control in myself. And when you aren't confident in yourself, the customer can't be confident in you. And maybe this should be a message to a lot of people out there. If you are coming to this business and you can't be confident, you can't be confidently yourself, you have to constantly be somebody else. Customers see through this, and you're not going to have a long career in this business. Again, you got to be human. This has caused me to think pretty deeply on this topic because I knew what was going through this person's head, and I spent a lot of time building up to this point. And at this point, I thought everything was going good. But due to that small break in my confidence, I had to take a step back. I didn't want customers going through this. And so I created 3 laws for myself that are just associated with trust leaks. And after practicing them for a couple of weeks, they just kind of stuck and became habit. The first one is weak phrasing creates doubt in the customer's mind. It's pretty easy. The second one, doubt, it slows everything down and it really does drag. If somebody is energized, if they're happy, if they're confident, the deal goes very rapidly. If they're not, they hit the brakes, they ask a lot of questions, and here comes logic to say, hey, I'm just looking. But then also with all of this repetition and scripting and role playing we were doing at the dealership at the time, in law 3, strong phrasing builds confidence instantly. Instantly. Yeah. If you're confident in what you're saying, people believe you. If you're confident in what you're saying, people look to you as an authority. But customers aren't needing perfection. They're simply just needing clarity. And that's really all they're looking for in most circumstances. Now, if the trust leak thing, you're still trying to peg it down as to what exactly I mean here. Let me give you 5 examples. Leak number one, time guessing. The big one, right? Maybe about 10 minutes. Ugh, that doesn't really exude that it's going to be 10 minutes. But a stronger answer that can allow confidence to stay in place, if not lift it up a little bit, is it usually takes about 10 minutes. I'll keep you posted the whole time that we're going along here. You're, again, putting yourself in the position of being a partner to the customer. You're holding their hand essentially through the process because you're the authority and you have to act like it. If you're in service, something along the lines of the TCM isn't syncing to the PCM. Can't you clearly see on this RO here? No, the customer can't clearly see. They can see it on the paper, but they have no clue what you're talking about. So we got to break it down a little more Barney style here. Just make it a little more basic. Something along the lines of, hey, you know what? One of the computers that controls your shifting in your car isn't talking to the main computer and it's causing some trouble. So we need to go in and we need to replace a part and reconnect it. This longer answer, yes, it's more words, allows the customer to look at you and go, okay, this person knows what they're talking about. I still have no stinking clue, but it's in words that a human being can understand. No jargon, get that out of there. All it does is it makes people confused and it also belittles people because if they don't know it, apparently that's a bad thing. Now, the next one, this one's for sales and F&I. When the customer says, hey, can you get me approved? And we go, we always get people approved. We will, if you got credit, we'll go ahead and get you approved here. That doesn't help. Yeah, sure, it might get somebody excited. It might have them fill out the credit app, but it doesn't necessarily let them know that, hey, I'm in here for you and I got your back. Instead, try something that is a little bit stronger that makes a little bit more sense here. Instead of, we always get people approved. We work with several banks and we'll do everything that we can. And I can't promise anything yet, but I can promise clarity along the way. So if anything comes up, I'll absolutely break it down for you and make a little bit of sense so you know what's going on. And then there's those vague handoffs, and these are always fun. These are always fun. It's like we're handing our customer off to a babysitter, and this is sales service. This is everybody. Just over there, they'll help you. Okay, who? Maybe it's like a standard male thing, but my wife well, just a little bit ago, she says, "Hey, can you go to the fridge and grab a couple pieces of pizza that are in a container in there?" And there you go. There's lunch. I was like, "Yay!" Walk over to the fridge, can't see it. She walks over, boom, it's right there. Now, from a customer's perspective, I'm at the fridge. I'm completely lost. She knows exactly where it is. I'm not about to say, hey, come on over and show me. That's just not cool. But we all go a little bit blind here and there, and this not really suggestive blindness seems to happen every time that a guy walks into the grocery store or looks inside the fridge. But when we say it to a customer like, just go over there, they will help you. It shows that you just don't care. It shows that you can't even go ahead and walk Maria on over and introduce her to the Rebecca, the cashier, and say, hey, you know what? She'll pick it up from here, right where they left off. And maybe if it is a customer, wait for them a minute. Be patient. Seriously, what are you in such a rush for? And then this one just lets anxiety hang, and I see it happen far too often. And it does make me chuckle a little bit just because it's so dumb. And it's just an easy one. The customer will ask you something along the lines of, well, so does F&I give me a call? Do I need to wait? What's going to go on? And we tell them something along the lines of, well, yeah, they'll call you, I think. Yeah, they'll call you. I mean, what? Where's the correct answer? You've done this over and over and over again. What is the process? Just let them know, hey, you know what? They're going to get back to you by 2 p.m. And if they don't, here's my direct line. You got my business card right here. Just give me a call and I'll walk right on over to F&I. I'll walk over to service. I'll walk over to wherever you want and take care of you. Because without you, you're not coming back to buy another car. That's my income lost. And these vague answers are what's going to keep us in that area of being untrustworthy. We got to get out of it. Now, clarity can be applied at any point in time. Every trust leak can be fixed with one rhythm, and it's pretty cool once you start to put it all together and memorize it. Strong, steady, simple. Strong, clear wording. Steady, calm tone. Simple, plain English. This rhythm is going to help you build confidence in any way when you're working with people. Is just keep it simple, keep the tech jargon out of it. We have our own language at dealerships. That language doesn't necessarily mean that the customer knows all the words. When it comes to some of that stuff, the name of the computer, all the acronyms, when it comes to calling finance the box, when it comes to, even with some people, they get offended by being called an up. Just keep the words to yourself because they don't help. Plain English is huge, but the clear wording and acting like you have a steady, rock solid backbone and you're willing to support even the simpleton walking on in means an awful lot to some people. This week, I did create a free tool. This free tool is called the Trust Leak Spotter Lite Edition. There is a big edition, and I'll explain that in just a second here. But with this, when you print it out, you'll see that you can pick one line and use that line on busy days. Write it down, write it using strong, steady, and simple verbiage. Then use it 3 times that day. Give it a crack. See what happens. The more you use it, the more confident you will become wielding it. And as you become more comfortable wielding it, all of a sudden confidence starts to bubble up. Customers relax, they understand you faster, they smile, and that's a huge thing. Happiness drives deals. It's directly connected to your bottom line. They ask fewer questions because clarity has been applied, because you're simpling things down. And because trust leaks, they're tiny little things, but the outcomes of them can be huge in the negative. But if you know how to make them never pop up, it's all positive from here on out. So click that link that is in the show notes. Grab the tool. It's there to help you, and I've been doing this for a very long time. So grab it and use it. See what it's all about. If you're a manager listening out there and you're taking a look at that light tool, going, this is good stuff. I kind of want to really apply this, but I really don't know how to teach it. That's okay. I got your back here. We are creating turnkey meeting guides, and these can include, we call them the auto forges. These include drills, scenarios, and week-long challenges. Everything from the most basic of challenges like hand in this ticket to full-on D&D in the showroom. These things cover sales, service, parts, F&I, really whatever you are looking for, and it helps you run your store as a leader. Down below, you click the link and you can read all about the Auto Forge and see if that's something that you wanted. But always remember, trust isn't built on one big gesture. It never has been. It's built on a series of tiny gestures that lead up to a big yes in the end. But trust leaks can come along at any point in time, and it's very easy for us to either miss those or easily patch them up. Remember, most people don't want to work with us when they come in, but they feel forced to. And if we can make that an easy process for them, make them smile, make them laugh, make them enjoy themselves, all of a sudden they stick around and they want to be around us. Remember, when it comes to the product, just gets them in the door. When it comes to the price, can be worked with. It's about finding the right car. In the end, it's not about the price or the product. It's about the experience, and it's about what you bring to the table. So go out there, lead with kindness, lead with caring, and, well, lead with clarity, because that's going to help you out a whole ton along the way. Have a great one. Auto Nerd out. I will see you next Thursday.